I don't think I need to do a proper intro for you guys. I will, but let's start here. What's the most Warren watch of the year so far, since we're going to do a bit of a 2026 year in review for the year? Felix, we'll start with you. Okay.
Toss up between two, depending, and it's a very sort of seasonal take. If you had spoken in the Australian summer, which was a few months ago, I would have said probably the Sin U1 that I've been reliving my early 2010s nostalgia through. But more recently, I've been wearing a lot of the Earthen, I think it's Summit, this sort of cheap ceramic pilot watch, which is lovely.
Affordable. It's affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable. That's like the ceramic.
I don't think we need to be afraid of saying something's cheap. Like it's,
I know people don't like the word cheap because it sort of can implicate quality. People prefer affordable or accessible.
In this economy, I'll take cheap.
Is the U1, is that like the kind of the big, they made the U50. They made the U50 for the more slight wristed and less sort of deep sea inclined of the world, right? The U1 is for the OGs like Felix.
Yeah, they diluted the essence of the core model with the U50.
Sure did. What has become of Zen? Yeah.
I want as much submarine steel as possible.
Andy, what about you?
It's a good question. It's on my Land Dweller because that's at the Rolex Service Centre.
Did you get your Land Dweller already?
Actually. Got a Land Dweller and it's back getting repaired because the setting system's broken. So
this is not a bit. This is for real?
This is for real, yeah. It's a short-lived.
What do you think the setting system is broken?
Within the date window that I guess sets the date window properly, or it sets the date properly, is it got busted after about 2 months. So
this $1,000 Miona watch,
yeah,
problems.
So
no date setting problems on that one.
There's probably no date on there. It's probably my Tag Heuer F1 Solograph, the black DLC with the pink.
Okay,
I got maybe last year. I wear that a fair bit actually. Surprising amount for a Tag.
That's a great watch.
I just got a Tag Solograph as well. One of the Formula One watches, kind of for the Indy 500. They did a limited edition.
Oh, you got the 2026? Yeah, they're so wearable and they're just fun.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of 2026, not to go too far ahead, new Solographs, all those beige and pastel colors. They were great.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know, I am joined by the Aussie extraordinaires, Felix Scholz and Andy Green of OT, the podcast. I've known them for years. I've been on their podcast a couple of times. They're kind of the Unpolished of Down Under, some may say. But you guys, when did you start the podcast?
2020.
Yeah, it was a COVID project.
It was in the works in 2019. I want to say that so people don't just think it was a COVID project.
I think the week before the pandemic officially started was our first episode.
Oh, really?
And it was a bit of a roller coaster because we sort of got set up with the studio and everything, and then Melbourne had lockdown, so the studio quickly closed. And so it was like, oh, great, we're doing this thing. It's exciting. Oh, how are we going to do this thing? And then we realized that actually it was kind of great because everyone was stuck sitting around at home all around the world, and we got access to all these great guests and had, so much spare time to do it. So
yeah, we had some wild early interviews that we would struggle to get these days.
Like who? Who would not come on? Who would not deign to come back onto the OT podcast that you had in the early days?
We had like CEOs at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Now it's like 3 months of organizing and calendars are really difficult. Back then it was, hey, what are you doing at 12 o'clock? And then you'd have
There's no
CEO
excuse,
from somewhere. Yeah, like no one had an excuse. And all of these, all the brands were sort of pushing their spokespeople and ambassadors via Zoom calls because that's all they could do with them. And they were thinking, oh, this is my shot for the year. So yeah, we had like the Australian of the Year on. We had chefs and celebrities and musicians. And we're still going to get those people on.
I think one of my favorite early ones, and it's not going to happen again, but I still really like it, even though it's super rough, is Charlie Borman, who has a relationship with Bremont. He's an adventurer guy, and he's like Ewan McGregor's mate. And it was such a it really epitomizes just a dude on his iPad, not realizing he's doing a video, which is really great.
We didn't have a computer. He didn't have a computer to join us. He only had the iPad. So he's very Ed Sheeran in that way. I mean, he's more than just a motorbike guy. He's an actor. And I mean,
well, speaking of video, this is on YouTube nowadays. I'm joining you guys, the 21st century. If people see me coughing and going on mute while you're speaking, it's because I'm still recovering from the horrid air quality here in Chicago. I've been recovering from this cough, so don't judge me. If I go on mute, that's the issue for those of you that are on YouTube. And by the way, subscribe to the Unpolished Watch YouTube, as well as the OT the Podcast YouTube while you're there. Please do. I know you guys are putting out content all the time out there. Guys, I brought you on because sort of esteemed creators you are. I thought you'd be fun to join and talk about some of the best stuff, the most interesting watches, the most boring releases we've had of the year for 2026. So we're going to do that. We're going to give out some superlatives, some awards. The first one that I wanted to do, though, is not necessarily an award. I wanted to talk big picture. I wanted to talk meta. I wanted to talk 30,000 foot views. I wanted to ask you guys what you think the biggest storyline of the year is in watches so far. So not a new release, but overarching storyline that you think is impacting everything from the releases to the secondary market to the way the industry is talking about itself. I'll leave it open to either of you guys to go first.
Me? Yeah, sure. All right. I think there's something that Felix and I have been talking about, a bit of a trend this year, is what we call economy gold. And something that Bremont, I think, pioneered over the last few years when they do the gold watches with the stainless steel sort of mid cases, and then AD with the 1159 sort of ceramic and gold. And not only was the part of the case ceramic, but then inside the links is ceramic, and then, it's gold plated ceramic. And so seeing brands really push up the price of gold watches, which are probably like 40% less gold than they used to be, but 40% more. And I understand that gold prices have gone crazy, but, a gold watch used to mean a solid gold watch. And now it's, if you're lucky, the case of the watch is gold and it's on a thin Milanese bracelet that's gold and the clasp is titanium or something. And so seeing the different and interesting ways that brands get creative to put gold on a watch or say that they've put gold in a watch is a sign of the times, I think.
The Omega, this was a couple of years ago, but the Omega Bronze Gold Seamaster was a real pioneer in that regard for me. I think it maybe is rated to 9 carats. I can't remember. Any that
50% less gold.
It's easy to be pejorative about that, especially when the prices stay the same. And I kind of agree with you that it is I don't know, like cost cutting, efficiency measures, whatever you want to call it in these belt tightening times that we're in. Any brands that have actually done it sort of well and you're like, yeah, I kind of buy that, or is it all kind of just cost cutting?
One weird bucking of the trend, and sort of at the time of recording quite a recent one, and a much discussed one, is the latest moon swatch. That I believe is worth more in scrap than retail.
That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah, if we believe what they're saying, there's like 11 grams of gold in there and they're selling it for less than spot price or around the same, which I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of cool.
If you do the math on it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'd say the JLC Reverso in the gold bracelet. So yes, it's a Milanese bracelet. It doesn't feel like they're out of place and like they've done it deliberately. Whereas, take the Rolex 100 years Oyster with a gold bezel, and you hear them, you sit in the press meetings and hear them say that it's a new configuration of steel and gold and roller saw, and it's just a gold bezel. Like, you call it what it is, it's just a gold bezel. So I think there's a big broad spectrum of how the brands are doing it. But yeah, and I mean things like putting ceramic inside of links for the screws, that's smart because it's going to be more durable and last longer. So I do appreciate that. It's also lighter. So it just depends how they're doing it. But then on the other hand, you've got Burneron making screws from gold for their bracelets. So, or the spring bars, I should say. So it's an interesting mix.
I don't fundamentally have too much of an issue on some watches with the center links being less gold, because they're very sort of integral to the design, and links are such high wear areas.
And expensive to replace, I think,
as well. That's a little bit of a storm in a teacup situation, as long as people are transparent about it. or are transparent when you ask. I understand, you don't want to lead your press release with 20% less gold for the same RRP, but if you can explain it, I don't think it's too much of a huge issue.
Yeah. Any other trends, storylines you've been following for the year, Felix? I like yours, Andy, I got to say.
Yeah, Andy's gone high and I'm going to go low. Maybe not high and low, but he's sort of taking a real sort of industry analysis. I'm just going with, I think, what is an interesting trend of our life, and certainly a trend we saw a lot in Geneva, maybe to a hilarious extent, is the sudden re-interest in space.
Yeah.
We had quite a few sort of prominent space watchers, from Bremont, from RWC, but even I think I'm pretty sure it was Von Cleef and Arpels that had a moon phase and referenced in their press release as eyes are returning to the stars, like this sort of one-liner lip service that I thought was quite.
The world needs hope, Felix.
Well, the world does this, but an even more recent one, and I was somewhat surprised about this, was Buzz Aldrin, his estate auctioned off a bunch of watches. Have you spoken about this on your newsletter?
I think I mentioned it, the fact that he sold a bunch of things, actually, even not just watches, through Sotheby's. It would have ended a couple weeks ago now. The watches were cool. Obviously, his Speedmaster, the Speedmaster, is lost to history, or at least for now. But there were some other Speedmasters in there. I believe he had a Speedy Pro that sold for about $50,000. But the coolest object to me was he had this Buzz Lightyear. I don't know if you saw this. There was a Buzz Lightyear figurine that I think one of the producers or directors on the movie signed, to the real Buzz. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool piece of sort of ephemera.
You had a Buzz Lightyear watch as well.
Yeah. There was a lot of sort of novelty watches, right?
Yeah.
I
was kind of surprised at the pricing of it. Like, I think the biggest ones were sort of like 100 over, 100, 200 over retail, estimate. Like there was that Mission, the non-functional X33 or whatever it is, and then there was a gold one and a regular Speedy he had. But if you wanted a astronaut-owned Omega, you could get some fairly decent deals, maybe.
I agree. I thought you could have done worse. There was the JLC dive chronograph as well. Yeah. And none of them were I don't know, if you just think about it, you're like, oh, Buzz Aldrin's watch. When are you going to have this opportunity again to buy, a real Explorer's watch? Compared to what people are paying for some other things, I don't know. I feel like you could have done a lot of damage with $50,000 to get Buzz Aldrin Speedmaster, and it's probably the closest thing we're ever going to see to the Speedmaster,
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd take Buzz Aldrin's production Speedmaster over a, fairly nice condition but rare Patek Philippe any day of the week.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Crivia on the dial though, so that's where he went.
Or Journe,
Yeah, in this market.
Different
I also think maybe microbrands are back.
Did they ever leave?
I think there was peak microbrands maybe 8 years ago, and then there were so many microbrands that there was too many, and then a lot of them fell off, and then I feel like they're back. I feel like
what makes you say
in a
that?
bigger way. Well, okay, so DWC, I mean, that's micro doing a $50 US, single piece watch or single piece case, monobolt case, had 70,000 people on the wait list. And I know that's, a big chunk of Indian customers there, but worldwide, that thing went pretty crazy. Kawame, which is a Japanese sort of small brand that does 500 watches a month, had 30,000 or 20,000 people all try and buy a watch at the same time. I can't really think of that happening kind of consistently throughout the year outside of, when we had peak collaboration season for a year or two and every collaboration watch sold out instantly until it didn't. I guess probably peak Hodinkee collaboration. So it feels like that sort of hype on certain things is pretty strong.
Yeah. I have a couple of thoughts on the microbrand space. Maybe we can talk about it for a few minutes because we just had Wind Up Chicago here, which is, it's one of the smaller wind up fairs, but I was shocked. Part of this is how good the Instagram algorithm is nowadays. I was just shocked by the amount of coverage I saw from just rando dudes with 100 or 1,000 followers driving down from Wisconsin or Iowa for the day and just turning on the front facing camera and being like, I'm here in front of whatever brand, here's their new watch. There's this entire ecosystem around content creation, online content creation of just enthusiast creators that are in love with the micro brand space and in love with meeting the creators behind it in a way that I guess I had only fathomed recently. And I think Andy's watches, TikTok's sort of flavor of the year really was there as well, working the Formex booth. And everyone was waiting in line to see them. I think people like Formex anyway. They're kind of one of the stars of that micro brand space because they make a high quality bracelet and case. But we're on like Gen 4 of TikTok creators as well, led by guys like Andy's Watches who really sing the praises of micro brands. And I think some of the big brands are doing content well in the sort of TikTok and reelsification of the world. But I think the micro brand space has been a big beneficiary of it, a big of all the boom and just like interest in watches, and people don't know where to go and they just glom onto these micro brands. What say you, Felix?
I think, yes, I agree that it's partially sort of driven from the internet, consumer side, like we're seeing it more and it's probably always existed now. It's just easier than ever before to create decent quality, content around it. Two other things I would think about the interest in micro brands. One is I wonder if, to Andy's point about the re-interest in it, how much of it is that sort of trickle-down effect from Moonswatch? Like, are all the guys that, waited in line and flipped Moonswatches now going, oh, maybe I'm going to be able to flip this, low production. Maybe that's why the big wait lists are there, because it's more of an economy of speculation around it and they're looking for...
Oh, you think so? You're so jaded, Felix. You seem so jaded.
I really am.
About that. I feel like I sensed genuine enthusiasm in that room, my friend.
The counterpoint is, and this is a genuine enthusiasm, is people can actually afford it.
And they can buy it. They can jump on and buy it. So you've got this stuff completes the journey. We can talk about Rolex and Patek and Vacheron all day long. And so someone can watch one of our videos or, your video, Tony. And then what do they do with it? They go to Vacheron's website. You can't even see a price. You definitely can't buy it. But a Formex that is, presented in an engaging way, and you find out, oh, this is, I don't know, $2,000 for a Formex. I don't know how much they cost these days, but they're great. You hop on the website and you can kind of pick the exact one you want and have it in a week later. That's like the perfect journey for online shopping. And so I think it's a combination of the current sort of gen of these content creators being very enthusiastic and sort of positive. And sometimes, yeah, you're right. It's a guy with 200 followers from a beach bar in, I don't know, wherever, just talking about dive watches he likes. But I think that's all it takes. And it feels like a very big disconnect from where it started 10 or so years ago.
I think part of that is on the other side. Like if I, as a Joe watch consumer, work out that I want to buy a Rolex, and by the time I make, like maybe I'm turning 40 in a couple of years, by the time that milestone arrives, or by the time I can afford it, it's increased in price, 3 or 4 times. And maybe I can't afford it anymore, or I can't get it. So,
but also the mass, like if you're talking a video on watches that gets 2 million views, like the percentage of people that actually have $10,000, $15,000 to spend on a Rolex is going to be minuscule. The percentage that have 500 to 2,000 is much bigger.
Yeah.
So it's that mass appeal. It is the A-piece watch. It's the Moon's watch. I think it's the result of mainstream interest in watches, and I like it. Like I've had some really great fun with. I have like 5 different, I guess, small micro brands sitting on my desk in front of me.
Any good ones, Andy? Because I continue to feel, I don't know if jaded is the right word, snobbish maybe some would say about the micro brand space, even because like it does often feel like low density calories or something like that, where you kind of tire of it in 6 months or a year because it was kind of the thing that was on trend or the flavor of the week or whatever else it might have been. Is kind of my like concern with these things, if you want to say that they kind of just don't have any staying power. But I don't know, maybe you feel otherwise, and maybe some of the watches on your desk are proof positive of this.
you're right, because I think it's part of the watch collecting journey as well, as you kind of you escalate. So you buy something and then you set a threshold, and then you buy something a bit more serious, and then you get to a point where you kind of have serious in your own perspective and worldview and financial situation, serious watches. And then so to look at something that's, if you're spending 10 grand on a watch and $500 or $1,000, it feels like it's not quite at home or quite right. There's some fun, there's some whimsy there. There are brands that are certainly just, uninspired and pedestrian and doing the same thing as everyone else. And then there are brands that I think are like genuinely innovating and doing good quality. So Formex, I think, is one of the more innovative brands of any category lately, when you sort of talk to them and hear about, the different clasps and the bezel change systems and what they're doing and the price point they're doing it at. So I think Formex actually, although a lot of their watches, if you squint, kind of could look like any dive watch, could be anything, and they don't have the strongest brand identity. But as far as innovation, it's there. There's brands that are doing things for the right reasons and then for the wrong reasons, just doing a cheap knockoff of someone else's model. But I think there's something to be said. I mean, I've got one of the Armory's temporal works on at the moment, the Rambler, which just came out, bead blasted case, bead blasted bracelet, $2,500 US, which is, I mean, it's a bit of money. Selective movement. So it depends how you look at it. I think this one, it's funny you mention it, but I put a video up and got an interesting comment about it being expensive. And so someone had compared it to a Tudor Ranger and said, it's the same price as a Tudor Ranger. And I found it really interesting that someone's compared it to a Tudor Ranger and said that this watch was expensive based on, what the quality and what you get. And okay, you might get an in-house movement in a Ranger, but how you can say, Tudor, who probably make 3 or 4 million watches a year, is less, expensive than they probably make 250 of each SKU temporal works. It's the opposite argument, right? Like when Tudor place an order or manufacture, hit go on their CNC machine, you're probably talking 100,000 cases, So the cost of what it actually makes Tudor to make a Ranger, I would think is, 15% of the retail price. This is probably 50%. So, how people perceive price and value and place these things is also quite interesting. And so I think you just have to take a little bit on, face value and look at what you're getting and if you like it more than anything else. And remember that like the biggest brands are the worst value brands because they do so much volume and they make so much money that goes into things like marketing and sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. But they're the worst value brands. And we let that slide because, they have better resale or they have better brand recognition, but they are the worst. They're the better brands, but they're the worst value brands. Whereas, people with, micro brands doing things, most of them aren't making, heaps and heaps of money. They're just, trying to do something different or trying to not work a 9 to 5, I feel.
I think that's like at least mostly true. However, when people look at the biggest brand, which is say Rolex, I think people generally look at it and they're like, yeah, the economies of scale are there. I mean, we could look around and point out all the advertising that they do, which is non-trivial. They're probably one of the biggest advertisers in the world, but they have
holders in the world.
Yeah, they have huge economies of scale. And I think people seem to think that like they could price their watches higher than they do if you're just comparing it on a relative basis. A Datejust is $7,000 or whatever it is now. An Explorer is $8,000. A Submariner is $10,000 USD. So I think there's also like value in economies of scale. And this is something I think about more broadly is kind of so much of the trend has been towards this focus on craft and what you're putting into a watch. For a micro brand, a lot of that is they don't have the economies of scale as Rolex or Tudor or anything else. They're making these things in small batches. For independent brands, it's about the hand finishing or about the work that goes into the complications and things like this. But I even saw like a Noma recently, a brand that I kind of like. I like what Matteo's done. It's sort of an interesting take on a design first, micro brand. But I was reading his latest press release and it's kind of that dagger watch and it's made by a French artisan that sort of hand engraves every single case. And all of these things. And it's like every single watch kind of emphasizes the craft that goes into what they're producing now. And for me, I don't know, I think about it because it's just because something is hard to do doesn't necessarily mean it's like worth buying for consumers or clients or whatever, right? So I'm wondering how you guys think about sort of this tension? It's something I've been thinking about kind of a lot this year.
Yeah. I mean, top line is, yeah, just because it's hard and expensive for you to do doesn't mean that your customers should care or pay for it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you're making things at a small batch, if you're making 50 of something and your cost price is $10,000, and if you made 500, it would cost you 1,000. That's sort of a you problem, right? That's your you problem as a business, as a brand. And if there's a direct competitor that is doing volume and it's cheaper, then that's something for you to navigate and figure out how to find a separate value proposition. Yeah, I mean, you saw the Enoma, I think he spends 5 hours hand engraving each case, and that could be really expensive. Some people could look at that and say, what do you pay an engraver per hour? How much does this cost? Is that expensive? But I mean, like anything, when you're making something, it all multiplies to get to the end point. What I think, that was a beautiful segue, Tony. Do you want to talk about coloured ceramics?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure. I've got a little thing on that before we dive into the coloured ceramics.
Before we get to Andy's blue, yeah, Felix, go for it.
I think I agree. Like there's a lot of focus on craft, and it's something that I've been thinking about that will perhaps come to the surface again later in this conversation about, one of my favorite watches. But it's marketing. It's just, it's trying to find a point of difference. Like the guys that are selling mass volume of their watches don't need to talk about how unique, and, Rolex could write a press release saying every watch has been touched by 100 hands from the milling in the sea, but they don't need to because they're selling them.
Yeah.
So, it's,
and also
you've got to fill those press releases with something.
Yeah. I mean, go back to Kawame, that example of the 500 watches a month, people complaining, raging that they couldn't get watches. Can't you just make more stock? Can't you make more? And they're literally doing these Instagram posts saying, we can't increase it. We can't even buy more movements. We've had like limits put on how many movements we can buy from our supplier. So no, we can't. And we don't have anyone else to assemble them. So it's going to take us 6 months to find people and find watchmakers and train them up to assemble them. We can't just like flick a switch and multiply the volume. So it's always a tug of war. And if these brands pumped out 100 times the volume so that every single person that wanted it once could get one, no one would probably want them. That's the other equation. But yeah, coloured ceramics.
Andy, it came to my mind to ask you this question because a video popped up on my feed with a little floating head over your head. And I think the guy is a watchmaker, the watch regular. I think he's an Australian watchmaker. Am I right in that?
I think he used to be.
He used to be. Technician. Gotcha.
Technician. I don't think he makes watches. I think he was a repair person.
He technicians watches. Anyway, I think it went semi-viral, at least in a small corner of the Instagram world. And it was using a clip that you did in Watches and Wonders talking about how Chanel spent 5 years to get the color blue right. I think I'm sure it takes it out of context a little bit. What you were trying to get across and what Chanel was trying to get across when you take that split-second clip, which is obviously the world we live in. But maybe you can sort of take the story from there and what you were trying to say and sort of what it tells us about, I don't know, take it in whatever direction you want about ceramics or the media or whatever.
Yeah, Felix and I have talked about it a fair bit when it first sort of happened because what's going on here. It mostly because you're right, it was taken out of... Well, it wasn't even taken out of context. I was misquoted from what I say in the video to what he then says and then, goes on with. So it's like a 30-second video just talking about the new J12. The intro line is, it took Chanel 5 years to develop this color of blue or this shade of blue. Keyword is develop, not pick, which is what I think his name's Alex. Alex said that someone was sort of implied that someone was sitting around picking a color and it took 5 years for them to make the decision on what color to pick. So, I mean, open with saying I actually said develop. Now, you both know watches and know the watch industry. 5 years is kind of a long time, but also if you know coloured ceramic and you know sort of ceramic case watches, it's kind of standard, right? Like Hublot took, I think, 5 years for their red, for the red that they did. I mean, Rolex stopped doing the Pepsi bezel because getting that color mix was too difficult. And that's, we've been talking about Rolex a lot. That's Rolex kind of giving up on the bezel because it was too difficult to do. But I mean, ceramic's a hard material to work with. There's several steps. You have to pick the colors, you have to make the molds, you have to heat it up and sinter it and polish it. And so I guess if they were set on choosing a shade of blue from the start that they wanted, and you're talking Chanel, blue is a pretty big pillar for Chanel. And so they said, we want this shade, wanted to match other things we've done. And then they wanted to work to get it. And it just so happened to take 5 years. I think that's okay. I mean, from what I did some more reading, it sounds like they did 150 colorways and a bunch of prototypes, so 24 prototypes, which would take you years to do because the revision process is quite long. But all I said about it was it took them 5 years. I didn't express any sentiment either way. I didn't say it was positive or negative. If you look at it, and you can look at it at the perspective of that is a long time to pick a color, like what are you guys doing? Or you can look at it and go, it probably wasn't someone sitting there at a desk for 5 years getting paid $100,000 a year to pick a color. And it was something they were sort of working on in the background, which I thought most people with common sense would just assume. But if someone did see me say that and go out and buy a Chanel blue and then realize, this is what have I done?
A year. Yeah.
I bought this because it took 5 years development. I feel like a fool. I mean, I apologize. But yeah, I think that was probably, I think the whole video was sort of rage bait more than anything else. I don't know.
Oh, of course.
You got to do what you got to do on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, if I had said pick a color, then that would have been funnier. But I mean, honestly, I don't know that I care too much about how long it takes them to pick a blue, because if you make your mind up on something and you want it, I mean, I personally think I respect the choice of like sticking to a color rather than giving up and sort of going, let's just do it until it's right, instead of, that's close enough, done, watches out in 2 years. And I mean, I like the J12, and I like the color of the blue.
It's great.
Yeah. There's a common thing. I see this every year at Watches and Wonders or in any press release meeting. Brand comes out, says, here's our new complication, here's our new whatever. Someone invariably raises their hand and asks, wow, how long did it take to develop this? And it's like a meaningless question with a meaningless answer, right? So,
yeah. I mean, we've got a watch right in front of me, Felix, when's this coming out, Tony?
A couple weeks from now.
Can't show you. Watch in my hand that Felix and I have been working on with the brand for...
Oh, cool.
What?
2 years?
14 months to get a prototype, 15 months.
Time it'll...
Wow.
And we've got it in and we're saying, let's change the dial color slightly. Yeah. And it'll be another few months. So like sometimes stuff, people are busy, things are happening. Sometimes it just takes a bit more time to get it done. But I mean, the last watch we did, the only other watch we did, again, that was like 2 years. So, stuff just takes time.
Yeah.
That's the press release, Andy. It took 5 years to develop this.
That's 5 years.
Yeah, and that's partly because it takes me 2 weeks to respond to an email. So,
yeah. Well, I'm like working on, just trying to figure out how to make some travel cases and stuff. I'm emailing all these factories, and it's like 3 months to develop a prototype. And I'm making 5 decisions. There's 10 components on the bill of goods or something like that, right? And how many pieces are in that watch, right? Like hundreds. It's crazy.
And that's it. So, and sometimes it's, look, if someone was, if I employed someone and they said, oh, you finally finished the color, it's been 5 years, I'd probably question whether or not I'd keep employing them, but that's not for me to decide.
I can't believe you're not going to give me the exclusive on the next OT, the podcast watch, but we'll let that ride.
I can tell you.
But not today.
I can tell you.
Guys, since we've been talking a lot about the microbrand space, what is the best release of the year for both of you under $2,000? Not just microbrands, any large brand. I just, use that as a segue because we spent so much time talking about them. Best watch under $2,000 so far.
You go, Felix.
Yeah, this is the one I was sort of, the conversation has come around in interesting ways because I think it's probably under 2,000 American. Maybe it's a little bit more, but it's in the ballpark. It's also it's not a micro brand. It's not a particularly interesting design in a lot of ways. There's no real craft involved in it. The dial is standard, but it is, I do think, an excellent watch if you just want a nice watch. The Raymond Wheel ART.
Yep. Oh, really?
Okay.
It looks a lot like many other 70s designed integrated sports watches.
Yep.
Looks a lot like an Ingenieur, looks a fair bit like a Nautilus in some ways. There's little bits of, Royal Oak somewhere in there. But it's just a good wearing watch. It's and for me, that's sort of the heart of, like you talked before about the Formula One. That's a watch that looks good, but it also wears incredibly well, and that's something that isn't translated on Instagram. I think with the Raymond wheel, while the ART, if you want a nice watch in that sort of category of watch, which absolutely heaps of people do want, this is a watch that has been designed really well by a company that knows how to make watches. This isn't it's not a micro brand where that's their first or second iteration, or they're just trying this out and they don't, maybe they don't own the facilities, or they're having that, that 3-month email sort of chain of like, oh no, change the chamfering on here. I think you see all that come together in the ART because, Raymond Weil, they're not on a lot of people's radars, and, except maybe in recent years with the Melisme. But they know what they're doing. They know how to make a smartly priced watch. And I think it really shows in this. Like, there's no extra fluff there, but that also means they're not, changing the prices.
1995 US.
There you go.
For those keeping track at home, the ART. What does ART stand for? I know you guys talked about this on a recent podcast of yours, and I heard you like.
Oh, this is such a great question. What is it, Andy? Artistry, refinement, and timekeeping.
The sure. A in art stands for art excellence.
It's my favorite thing about it.
I don't know. Accuracy. I reckon it's accuracy.
There's there's nothing wrong with this watch. It's not offensive in every way. I can't find like anything bad to say about it. For people that just want a nice watch, I say, Felix, you are correct in that. It's not particularly like inspiring to me, but also like I think this is often like an insidery thing. Like, oh my God, like where's the daringness? This is kind of probably an insidery thing to say. Like this is for someone who just wants a nice watch that's $2,000, as you say. And like, if we're honest, you're probably gonna be able to get it less than that. So yeah, good watch. Raymond Weil makes a pretty nice watch.
I would further and put the point on it. I'm a really firm believer. 90% of people don't want an interesting or daring watch.
Yeah.
Why the Rolex Datejust is the best watch of all time, because it's boring, but it works so well in every, metric.
I have an essay that I've been sort of kicking around. It's kind of like everyone just wants a nice watch or something like that. I think it's a very sort of journalist, people that pay way too much attention to watches kind of take to be like, all of these watch brands aren't doing anything innovative. There's too many dive watches. Now there's too many integrated bracelet watches, when like, number one, invariably when people come to me, like a friend that's not in watches, they're like, Tony, what's a nice watch, right? Invariably, that's the question that they ask.
Yeah.
And there's been this broader trend. I thought of it because in menswear, I know Andy's a big fashion guy. I've read a few articles about sort of like the rise of nice clothes in menswear or something. Like no one really knows how to define the era that menswear is in right now, supposedly. It's not streetwear. It's not quite luxury. It's not quite like the rise of prep or anything like that, but it's just like nice clothes, well-made clothes. For people that pay too much attention to fashion, that's boring. But in reality, it's not. It's like, it's the clothes that make the man, Andy. What say you?
I agree. If your uncle or your dad wanted a nice watch and they had $2,000 to spend, Raymond will, and they never thought about it again and just looked down at their wrist, they'd like it.
That's right.
My pick, well, I've just bought this watch, so I've pre-ordered it. And it's from Kiwami, the Japanese brand I mentioned, Kiwami Asakusa. It's the Kubo Sakura, so pink dial, pretty clean, dressy watch with a nice little subdial that's in the sort of shape of a flower, a sakura flower. I love pink dials. It was $630, which is pretty good. I should have it at the end of next month, which I'm quite excited about. And I like the brand. I mean, they're just, it's pretty honest, and I think it reflects what, if you've been to Japan, and I think I've said this before, other places. But if you go to Japan and sort of go shopping and sort of get a taste of the culture, like quality matters to them, doing the best that they can matters. Everything feels sort of very honest. And I think this is a pretty honest watch. It's not, crazy price. It's still, a chunk of money, but it's not crazy money. It's not doing anything too crazy. The design is nice. And yeah, I think it sort of reflects that sort of made in Japan ethos, which I personally have come to know and love. And I mean, yeah, pink dials, I think it's just great. So this seems to reflect a broader thing that's happening with Japanese microbrands at the moment, which is just an absolute heating moment where everyone wants everything coming out of Japan. But yeah, it's cool. True. I've ordered one. I'm keen.
Is this similar to me? This looks very similar to the Baltic micro rotors of old. I used to have one of those. Is it sort of doing a similar thing, or what makes it better to you, if anything?
Is it doing a similar thing? I guess so. Like the MI Classic, subdials on the other. Yeah, same vibe. It's a pretty similar price point.
I mean, yours has a flower on the subdial, so that's
mine has a flower. Mine's got some polishing, and it's a pink dial. Yeah, it's the same. I think they're sort of, there you go, the Japanese Baltic. That could be the. I had to put them in a category. They're probably.
I think, as you pointed out, I think your case has a little more mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. Juxtaposition, if I were writing an article, I may say, to sound intelligent.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, the guy who started this brand has sort of been in watches for 30 years. I think more in like a commercial setting. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty hot thing there. I think it was 20 or 30,000 people tried to grab this pre-order. So, I mean, that's just, yeah. Wow.
How many did they sell? Do you know? This is the one that they sell 500.
I think 500. I think
20 or 30,000.
No, 500. Yeah, it went very crazy. I mean, these things sell for a couple of $1,000s on Chrono because they're a pretty new brand as well. So,
that's nuts. Maybe you're right. Maybe people are out there to flip these things.
There'd be a good chunk of them.
Is this what you're just hyping the prices up, Abby? This is why.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you're gonna need a bigger platform if you want to succeed at that. My watch of the year so far, we could have just done under $1,000. I've been borrowing my friends. Look, you guys, this may not have made its way down under. This is the Hamilton 250th, sort of American 250th anniversary Hamilton watch. It's 36 millimeters. It's based on a rarer military spec pilot's watch than the sort of standard issue one. So it's 36 millimeters, fixed lugs. But it's just a great watch, man. I've been wearing it on this canvas strap that they send it on. It's a double pass strap. If it were mine, I would probably cut out one of the passes. But it's a great watch, man. I've got a Hamilton Engineered Garments, the Engineered Garments edition from a couple of years ago. It's also a cool watch. Nice. Just like together, they're two of my favorite sort of limited edition Hamiltons. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of people sort of get the 250th anniversary edition. It wears great. I don't know. What else can you say about a Feel watch? To Felix's point, like, it's just a nice watch, bordering on boring, but not to me.
Is yours quartz or mechanical?
This is the mechanical one.
Do they do a quartz?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Quartz is cool, man.
Quartz is in as well. Yeah.
Quartz is cool.
Is that a trend? Quartz is coming back?
I don't know yet.
I think people are accepting it more. I think 5 or 10 years ago, if you rocked up to it would have been a Red Bar at the time, I suppose, with a quartz watch, you might have, been shunned a little. But I think there's more acceptance as to the place it has these days.
Guys, next award is the Discourse Award. That's what I'm calling the watch that's generated the most posts and or reactions per unit of watch actually produced. Do you have any? Do you guys have one off the top of your head? I've got one I could probably mention if you need a moment to think.
I've got one.
Go for it, Andy.
Rolex Daytona Rollicium.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're going to make. Yeah. I mean, it was the biggest release that Rolex talked about to us at the fair, and then all the drama unfolded with the not Grand Faux enamel dial and the
Grand Faux.
Grand Faux enamel, economy platinum as well.
Very much. What is it? The bezel ring and the crown are
The inner
platinum?
I think it's
The case back?
the leftovers from the Le Mans.
Probably.
Again, it was like the biggest storm in a teacup ever. And firstly because of, you can't get this, and then the price, and then the Grand Faux drama. And the reality is I don't know anyone in any corner of the earth that's gotten one yet, and I haven't seen one. And I mean, there'll be a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000 ever made. And so it was all for nothing. So that's my take.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm not sure if they've gotten delivered yet. I've only seen, there's something in a group chat today. I've just started seeing the Jubilee motif OP starting to get delivered. So the enamel or enamel adjacent Daytonas are probably still to come. But that's a good one. Felix, what do you got?
I don't really have one. I would say that I was doing some World Cup research, and I saw one of the Spanish players had a Jubilee dial. So,
oh, there you go.
Nice.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Must be nice. Look, Felix, you win yourself a World Cup, and you maybe could get off the wait list as well.
you get some credit, the AD.
You guys can't even beat the Americans, so I don't know what to tell you there. Mine, I was going to say the Naoya Hida Zenith collaboration.
Yep.
Because they made
That's my
10 of
second
those.
choice.
They made 10 of those, which is less than the Daytona probably. And people were all up in arms about the price, despite the fact that they were entirely pre-sold. I can't even remember what the price was. Naoya Hida, I remember this when I was writing at Hodinkee. I covered a couple of their intros. They do the annual sort of release in May or something, and then they have the application process. Something about that brand, almost in a way burner on, but not quite. It inspires passions in people, both positively and negatively. And that watch in particular seemed to really hit the heart of what people like and dislike about Naoya Hida. I thought it was a good looking watch. I think it's interesting for Zenith as well. Like, I think it's, an interesting way to sort of use the caliber 135 as a platform. Like, Zenith as a brand doesn't mean a lot to most people. So I think it's a good way to sort of bring back the 135. I would imagine we'll see more of that. Like, it's a way for LVMH to get adjacent with some of these independent watchmakers that are very compelling as well.
Yeah. You're spot on. I saw it in person. I went to the launch in Japan.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was weird because, you're right. There's 50 of us in a room and they'd pre-sold them all. And like every collector that bought one was having dinner in Kyoto, lunch in Kyoto the next day. They've got, I think the plan is 2 per year. So I saw the next one, which will be out in a couple of months, which is, again, a good looking thing with an American focus, I can probably say. And then I think
Shapiro.
the plan is 2 per year. You said it. And
I mean, when I thought, that was the first thing I thought about. I would be shocked if there was not a Shapiro caliber 135.
But the thing is, they're pretty capped with how many 135 movements they can do a year. So I was told 200.
Oh, wow.
Not many. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, what does this collaboration do for Zenith? Because I think the customers were all Hida customers as well. They weren't Zenith customers. And I don't know where they go other than trying to collect them all or maybe get the other GFJs. But even that's like a pretty limited, there's 2 or 3 so far. Like, you're going to have to pump them out. Oh, wait, you can't. And they don't have anything. I think the biggest missed opportunity with this collaboration run that's going to happen is they don't have anything in their core collection that's kind of similar for everyone else that's interested in it, and A, can't get it, or B, can't even comprehend affording it. Mm-hmm. There's just nothing. Like, it is so unlike, I think, what people think of and see when they think of Zenith. Yeah. And so there's nowhere for them to all go, and it created this huge buzz and all of this interest and conversation, and there's nowhere for people to go. So I think that's the biggest. And they're not going to do it in steel. They're not going to make it more affordable. They're not going to make more of them because they can't. So I see it and go, yep, great watch. Hida's thrilled. Took a huge amount of time and resources to do it. Zenith probably made no money at the end of it because of all the work involved and, shipping dials and prototypes and kind of coming to agreements and then doing, all the costs. They probably really didn't do anything. So what do people do? What do people do when 5 million people have Zenith on their radar this week because of the release, and again in a few months? What do we all do with it?
It's an interesting point.
What do they go buy?
The only thing I can think of is if you bump up the analysis to the conglomerate level, basically, and part of the larger Louis Vuitton project has been to get adjacent to independent watchmaking with that Louis Vuitton watch prize, with Daniel Roth, with Gerald Genta, with all that type of stuff. So the only thing I can really think of is if whatever CRM, whatever sort of funnel they're using is intelligent enough that whoever is like having that client contact is saying, yeah, cool, we saw you wanted the Cal 135. You're out of luck there, but have you heard of the Daniel Roth extra plat? Have you heard of the Gerald Genta sea urchin thing? That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, I was talking to someone there, I won't say who, and they were saying that they were doing one-on-one Zoom calls with the potential clients, selling them on the watch. Because, they've pre-sold the next batch, right? So like this, talking for an hour, hey, this $100,000 watch that you've not seen yet, it's going to be great. Trust me. Like, that's a fair bit of time, and it's pretty one-on-one. And I might be wrong, but my understanding is that the brands are sort of offering them to their existing customers. So Zenith wants hitter customers, so existing hitter customers that are spending lots of money and interested in that stuff, and to sort of bring them over. So it's not even things that they're offering. We've got great LVMH customers, or we've got a guy here. Like, here's a reward. It's completely new. So I get it from a put Zenith on the map standpoint, and the collaborations are cool, and I think it's a very cool thing to be doing. I just don't know really what the point of it is if you want to actually sell Zenith watches, because I don't see how this translates to Zenith's actual sales beyond GFJ, which again, I understand they're all selling really well. Like they sell their 200.
If I wanted to put a tin hat on, maybe it's not about selling Zenith watches. Maybe it's about selling Zenith for company.
Selling Zenith itself. Yeah, that's not right.
Maybe it's like, raising the status of like, look how cool this company is, guys. You want to buy it?
Yeah. Now you're thinking like an executive, Felix. I like it.
I always
Guys,
do.
Next award, let's call it the Beige Award for the most boring release of the year. I think we can get a little spicy here at the back half of the podcast. What's a watch a release that underwhelmed, could have been better, left you wanting more?
This is really hard, Tony, because by definition you forget about the truly boring watches.
It's true.
Or you never see them. Like, you never see the incremental dial update to the watch that is uninteresting but sells very well. My top take, and it's not quite boring, but underwhelming is maybe, I was a little bit bored by Tudor overall this year. It's what they do though. They just make nice, smart updates of the same watch. But the Monarch, I was very, very excited when I saw it initially, and the more I've sort of sat on it, it feels like maybe it's not the most beige award. Maybe it's like the half-baked award for me though.
I think it's the wrong category.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't know.
For me, it's you touched on it briefly. It's the 100 Years of Oyster. Like, that's it. That's what you're doing. Putting 100 years on the dial on a gold bezel.
So you're talking specifically about the two-tone one?
Yeah.
I can see you digging the motif. I can see you digging that one.
I like the motif. Yeah. You cannot read the time on it, but I love the motif, the Jubilee. But the 100 years, you're almost just better off not doing it.
It's like, for me, Andy, it's that 100 years one. It's fundamentally not a bad watch, I don't think.
It's great.
But it's just for 100 years.
Yeah. Do something. Do it in
That's
platinum.
the most underwhelming award.
Do it in platinum. You know,
we haven't answered the beige. We've got the most half-baked and the most underwhelming.
I think I said in my definition, underwhelming is beige.
Most boring.
Is beige adjacent.
Sure.
It's tough. I mean, the OP is kind of the most boring, or at least the most basic of Rolex's lineup. So what could you have done to make the OP interesting? There's not, besides the colors, which they've already done. They've done the bubbles.
Platinum.
They've done the celebrations. You could have done platinum.
Back platinum. Yeah.
I guess.
Charge whatever, $70,000 for it. People would go crazy, be available for the year. It would be insane. Like the Le Mans, do that with an OP. It would be sick.
Do an octagonal case like the original 1926. That would have been wild,
Yeah.
If they would have done like a Mercedes Gleitz shaped watch, would have been cool.
Yeah, that's sort of like,
It's tough.
to truly go back to the origin. I think that would have been
Yeah.
cool.
What about you? You got any boring watches in your?
I think it's the Privé collection from Cartier for me because it was basically a greatest hits. And they've been doing the Privé collection since 2017 or 2018. And they kind of reheated some of the best ones, the Normal, the Crash, the Tortue Model Pusher, and a few others. Not because they're bad watches, they're good watches. Some of them are even better than the limited editions they did over the past few years, which if I were a Cartier client might piss me off a little bit. But, you know, I remember that week of the releases at Watches and Wonders, I went to the Sotheby's preview kind of the day before everything started at the trade show. And they had a big Cartier sale or a big section of a Cartier sale there. And you're reminded that there's all these different shapes in their catalog. It's not just Crash and, you know, Tortue and the stuff that we know. There's all these weird funky shapes, you know, octagons and triangles and things inspired by whatever else from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on. And they could have like continued to dig into the archives in a way. And I thought, I don't know, I just feel like it's too early for them to be doing a greatest hits of the Privé collection.
Yeah. But also how much further can they dig? I mean,
Heaps. But
I think like,
how much can they
I don't know,
sell?
man. They did the Pebble, which is like so obscure. They made 4 of those or 6 of those or something like that. You know, if you're going to turn that into a hype watch, I feel like you can kind of do anything.
Yeah.
And all their 70s and 60s stuff, like those real big sort of cuffs and stuff.
Yeah, there's that stuff. But because I often think about this, there's a lot that you could bring back, but by the time you modernize it, I think a lot of it would be quite similar. Like you really wouldn't have as much quirkiness once you give them, you know, modern cases and, you know, 30 meters of water resistance. The Pebble has bugged me forever that was, full.
Strange.
I mean, if that was a steel watch or it was available, I mean, that's one I'd have a really hard time not owning. I love the Pebble. So I'm just outraged that they did that. But Tony's right. They did do arguably a better job on, I mean, the Tank Normal for one.
The Normal for sure.
I also found the split in languaging around the gold and the platinum releases confusing.
Meaning?
Like there were, I think they've got 2 separate, and maybe this is sort of 2 inside baseball, as you guys say. There's sort of like 2 different streams of like Privé, like there's Privé Collection and Privé Exclusive or something.
Was the Opus, right?
Getting the words.
Yeah, Opus.
Yeah, Opus. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the difference is, except for like maybe you have to be a better customer to get that.
Probably, right? It's so they can put it on different tiers on a spreadsheet.
I think one's limited edition, like limited in by number, and the other one's limited production. Like the gold is more accessible. Like they're sort of trying to open it up, which it makes sense, but I was confused on the wording.
In the weeds, man. Two more I want to ask you about before I let you guys go. Best release of the year so far.
Felix, you got one?
It's not for me, but I think it's probably a really, really strong release and really, really good for the brand, and it represents a lot of improvements in one package. The new Grand Seiko Ushio diver, like UFA, smaller case size, that great new micro clasp. I think it's getting expensive, but everything is. But I think that's a really, really strong watch and great for Grand Seiko's divers.
Good choice.
Yep, agreed. Well sized. I've never been able to wear a Grand Seiko diver before, and now I can.
Never again. There's a few. I think overall, I think Richemont had a pretty strong mix. Noticeable mentions for me: Lange, Saxonia, the annual calendar. I really like that. Yeah. I really like that watch. Ingenue 35 in either blue dial is also up there as a favorite of mine. Might not be the best movement, but the pool blue that they dropped a couple of weeks ago, and even
Splash Man, yeah.
He's taking a bath, and then there's one more, but I'll save that for my Grail of 2046 question.
I think we might have the same 2046 Grail, Andy.
Oh, are you still in my Grail?
Okay, count of three. Say the Grail. 1, 2, 3.
Jubilee dive.
Wait, what did you say? Do you take them out?
Terrible podcasting. That's my fault. Andy said Chopard, I think.
LUC 1860.
Yeah.
Chef.
Yeah.
Felix said,
1860?
Felix said,
Yep.
the new
I said,
blue.
look, I went with the Jubilee dial because the prompt that I was given was the most likely to be a Grail in 2046.
I'll have that this year, mate. So
No. Well, I was sort of looking back as to like what are collectors and auction houses going to go nuts for. I think they're going to go wild for like this. Well, 25 years ago, they did this crazy one for only 1 year. That's my
okay.
rationale.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. So Andy answered the question.
Short run Rolex.
Yeah. And Andy, you answered the question more as like, what will be your Grail in 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the new, you're talking about the 1860, the new Arusian blue or whatever it's called.
Killer. Yeah.
I agree. I like that watch a lot.
I would have, if you went Chopin, Andy, I thought you'd go for the slimmer Alpine Eagle.
Also, yeah, the XPS Alpine Eagle is crazy as well.
You were
The
very attached.
Mountain Glow, I think it is.
It's like a new golden, they have a golden colored dial kind of.
They've got a gold one. Yeah. And then
Mountain
they've got like
Glow.
a
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
shimmering silver thing. Oh, man,
It just wears really nicely. Like, again, it's that on the wrist thing of like the Alpine Eagle's a pretty solid watch, but this is a little bit sexier.
Yeah. Mine was the Daniel Roth extra plat skeleton.
Yeah.
I think that could be a
Choice.
Grail in 20 years. It could be my Grail as well in 20 years. I think production is very limited.
Mm.
They seem to be numbering them, so we're going to know how many were made. And I think in the future, in 20 years, kind of to Felix's point, we're going to know like, oh, wow, they really didn't make that many. They were limited by production and, not that many people buying them, I would imagine. And it's going to have this connection to the two watchmakers, Navas and the other one whose name I'm blanking on, which I'll apologize for.
Barbacini?
Thank you. Yes, Barbacini and Navas and La Fabrique du Temps and all of those types of things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of going to be the last brand that they really have their hands on. And I think in 20 years' time, people will appreciate that a little bit more. And it's just a beautiful watch. I think it's
stunning.
a beautiful thing. So that's my pick. For me, lambasting craft, 45 minutes ago and saying I'm tired of it, I picked a watch that has, more internal angles and hand polishing than I could count.
While still having massive corporate oversight. It's
It's
of both worlds.
While still managing to be one of the biggest
billionaire
companies in the
owners.
world. It's all my favorite things. Yeah. I'll be collecting my check from the Arnauds later, I'm sure.
The
Guys,
shareholders appreciate
anything
this.
anything you're looking forward to in the last half or the last sort of 4 or 5 months of the year before I let you go?
I was looking forward to doing the award section, Tony.
We did it. We've done it.
No, one of the questions Tony gave us was name your own award and give it a watch.
Oh, do you want to do that one? I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep this thing under an hour. So I kind
know.
of cut that one because I thought it would be harder. Okay, give it to me.
So Felix didn't prepare for this.
Let me
but
tell
I
you.
think-
Let me tell the people the prompt. So the prompt was for you guys to name your own award and then give that watch or give that award to a watch.
And the award that I think Felix and I collectively would like to honor. I don't know if we can do some sort of prize and sponsorship where we get like a tag at the end of it.
Presented
This
by
will-
RT
Presented
Podcast.
by-
Every award. Look, this is going to be annual, guys, and next
Yeah.
year every award will be sponsored for sure.
Yeah. So the 2026 Big Dog Award, brought to you by OT the podcast, is for the biggest big dog, I think. So it's a watch. It doesn't have to be physically big, but I think it needs to be metaphorically big.
Sure.
And it also needs to have big dog energy. So it needs to have aura. It needs to have that wrist aura when you walk into the room. So I didn't have time to come up with a short list, but I did put a strong contender on my list. And as I talk, maybe Felix can think of one. But I think the titanium PPC from RWC this year is a bit of a big dog.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. Or I'd also maybe say that that Chopard XPS we were referencing earlier, that's got some big dog energy.
That is a big dog.
Yeah.
What's a watch that doesn't have big dog energy? Just so I can kind of get the spirit of the rule.
Rolex 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's a watch that you look down at someone's wrist and go, what's going on, big dog? And then there's a watch where
Ooh,
you don't do that.
I would argue in some ways Rish and Mill does not have big
Yep.
dog energy.
Perfect.
That's probably true. Yeah. Watches in which you're compensating for something are certainly not big dog watches. Yeah.
Aquanaut.
Bill Gates Timex Indiglo. That's a watch with big dog energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
I don't know though.
Hamilton.
His daughter's going through trouble, so that might not be such big dog energy. His daughter's like a fraudster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd say like a Hamilton. That's a pretty big dog watch.
Yeah, it's
like
big dog.
you're going to see someone with a Hamilton field watch, and they're getting a big dog
I saw
as you open the door for them.
I saw Chris Nolan doing a little press interview wearing a regular Hamilton, like not a limited edition. And I'm like, that's big dog energy. He doesn't have to wear that, but he's,
It's not even about the watch. Like, because what if Christopher Nolan was wearing an RM in his press junket for Odyssey?
No, big
It wouldn't be big
Yeah,
dog because, he is. But like, he's the guy.
But he's the guy because he'd never wear an RM during the press junket.
The two things are intertwined. You can't be a small dog and wear a big dog watch.
Right.
I'm also going to reject the premise of Tony's question, not give him anything I'm looking forward to. I've come up with an award as well.
Good. Okay.
I don't have an answer for the winner, but I'm hopefully between us we can come up with it. I've come up with the it's a joint presentation between OT the podcast and Chanel, the best blue.
The best blue award.
The most blue of 2026.
The blue that must have taken the longest.
The sting in the tail is you had to submit for this award in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Andy said he likes that pool blue.
That's
I do like the pool blue. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of. IWC needs to answer his emails about how long it took to develop, and that'll kind of
Just
confirm
ask
how
every-
much he likes it.
Yeah, refer to Metal M.
Before I give it any more coverage.
Did you have any nominees, Felix? Best blue.
I did say that I only just came up with the concept, so I'm still running through my Rolodex of blue dial watches. Surely there's a blue stone. There's some nice blue stone dials out there. Piaget, I'm going to say Piaget, I'm sure had some beautiful blues.
Lapis. There'd be a lapis stone somewhere
Lapis.
kicking around.
There was some nice, I don't know if it was
Sure,
blue, but there was some,
Piaget.
the Zenith GFJ stone. There was a bloodstone that was nice. That's green, isn't it?
Yeah. It was blue the year before.
I don't know if it's more purple, but the Ming Shapiro Lightning is cool blue.
Yep.
Yep.
I tell you when, was it the Ancestry that was the blue?
They have one of them is more of a
Blue.
pistachio. I saw it last week here. It's more of a
Perception
pistachio.
is greeny.
Bamboo-y, yeah. I think there's a blue version in salmon.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
an
know if it's new,
inflection
though.
that's blue,
I think it's the
Right,
inflection
yeah.
I'm thinking of, yeah.
but I don't know if that's new. I guess it took 10 years to develop it. So
10 years,
that's fine.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was just a thought for a long time.
Oh, the new Tudor.
Tudor, yeah.
They had a nice summery blue.
Well, the Master Control is a blue dial.
That one's a little
Master
bland
Control's
to me.
pretty
If that watch has any problems, though, I feel as though it's the dial being a little bland.
Why don't
needed to
why
spend
don't
more time
Cartier-
developing blue.
It should have spent another year. Yeah.
Actually, the Reverso, the tribute to Hokusai, that blue is with the herringbone sort of pattern through it.
Yeah. Oh, you're not even talking about. Well, I guess the enamel's the back. You're talking about the front. Yeah.
Well, the front, yeah. I mean, the enamel on the back is crazy. That is, again, if we go back to the Grail, that's just a crazy future Grail piece.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny
Definitely
is
one of my favorites.
those watches. I remember seeing one at auction last fall, and they sell for like a fraction of the retail price. Obviously, right now, it's this one was a few years old, and they sell for, I don't know what they sell for at retail, especially with the Milanese bracelet. It's probably a 6-figure watch, right?
I think it's US. It's probably about 120 to 130
Yeah.
with the enamel. Yeah.
And it's like half that on the
Cents on the dollar.
secondary. Yeah, cents on the dollar.
I have a genuine answer for this blue. Seiko did a porcelain dial for their like 260 or whatever their sort of big 145 anniversary that they're celebrating is, and it's a nice glaze you get on it. I can't remember the reference number, but
No,
Which
no.
would actually,
no
yeah,
one can.
the Seikos are nice as well. So there's a lot. Blue's always a popular color for watches, isn't it?
on that observation. OT the
myself.
podcast, guys. Yeah. OT the podcast, Andy, Felix, Thank you so much for joining us. Check out OT the podcast wherever you listen to Watch Chatter. Thanks for doing our half-year 2026 superlatives. Subscribe to unpolishedwatches.com as well. Buy some straps in the store, and we'll see you all again soon for another episode.